Hi guys, we are back. Mama's Tea Time, back at it. Season 2. We're here and we're going to be changing things up. So I'm so glad you're listening. So glad you're here. And let's get started. I'm Katie.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Rachel.
We have a lot going on, a lot of changes for season 2. So, Jess, do you want to tell us? Do you want to
Yeah.
tell us?
Yeah, so we have a couple of guests already requesting, and we're going to have them in the lineup for this season. We are always down to have guests on the show. So if you're interested, if you've got some tea you want to spill, or you want to just bring a Reddit story and read it on our podcast with us, like, let us know. DM us, comment, all the things. But we have a couple of exciting people joining us this season, so stay tuned for that.
We're here for it. We're here for it. We are opening it up to get a male's perspective. I know, ladies. What am I thinking? Getting a male's perspective. But we think it's going to be super good. So if you're also a male and you're listening to this and you're interested, we're opening it to you guys as well.
And
So join.
and Rachel, are we going to have any new backgrounds this season? Are you traveling anywhere? Going anywhere exciting?
My background will change, yes.
Ew.
Probably every few weeks, but
That's exciting. We love it. I love having a different background for you. You're giving like computer screensaver, like with their nice aesthetic backgrounds.
We love it. We love it.
it's pretty nice out here.
Well,
Spices it up.
let's get some tea rolling. Rachel, you want to kick us off?
So
Let's
my
go.
story is I, 31 female, want to divorce my husband, male 41, for not making me dinner. Or is there a way to salvage this? We've been married for 2.5 years and no children. We didn't live together before marriage due to our culture. My husband works 35 hours a week. I work 60 to 72 hours a week. As the extra salary I'm using it to overpay one of the mortgages. His shift pattern is consistent. Mine alternates between days, nights, weekly. So my body clock is always changing. I am stuck with most of the chores, including maintenance. He will spend his time watching YouTube or sleeping. I have tried several times to air my feelings. I've tried the nice way, doesn't work. I've tried it where I've lost my cool, that doesn't work. He never tries to understand. It's always a rebuttal, such as the time I left my makeup out. Again, it's minor things, because if I leave things out, it's because I'm doing multiple things and I'm the one who puts it back. Whereas he leaves things out for weeks and it'll end up being me who ends up moving it. Or he'll just get rude. I've tried striking, where I refuse to do anything for a week. The house becomes messier. He got angrier and questioned why I hadn't cleaned up and called me a tramp. Been off work for 3 weeks. He's barely done any chores. He spends his time mostly watching TV and sleeping. He promised me that he'll make some food when I come back from work on Monday. After a 12-hour shift, I come home. I see he has not cooked. I ask him. He said, I didn't feel like cooking. So I went and got myself a ready meal. He then asked me why I got myself food and didn't get him anything. I told him because he didn't cook as he promised, and he had no regards for me, so I wasn't going to regard him too. The next day, I made myself food before going to work. Working 60 hours this week. I made it to last me 3 days. When I got back, I noticed he had eaten 90% of the food I had cooked myself. I asked him why he ate it, and he can't be bothered. And if he can't be bothered to cook, he shouldn't eat the food that I make for myself. He told me, don't cook then. Later, he said that he'll make something for me to eat. He didn't. He clearly has no regard for me. I also can't respect him, as I don't understand how someone could be so selfish. I want a divorce. I don't see how I can get through to him, as I've been trying for 2.5 years. I do still love him and ideally would love for the marriage to work. However, I don't know what else to do to make him more of a team player in the marriage. Is there any way to salvage this?
I don't think he wants it to be salvaged. Let's be real.
It's He's not trying
No,
at
not at
all.
all. And he blatantly upfront lies and says, I'm going to do this.
And then
then
she comes
doesn't.
home from so long and nothing.
So, how does it go from being messy to you're a tramp? Can we just talk about that?
Yeah.
Right?
What does
Right?
that have to do with anything?
That one confused me.
He sounds like he
I don't know.
needs. I'm going to take a page from Katie's book, and I think he needs to go to therapy.
Yes.
And maybe some anger management.
Agreed.
I think it's that marriage is like they're trying to outget each other. Like, and that's not what marriage is about. It's like you hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you type thing. And it's like they need to almost like refocus and be like, why are we married? You know,
Yeah.
what do we like? We
Like,
need
was it like
to
that
start.
before?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they didn't live together before.
Wow.
They didn't live together before they got married.
And that is how a lot of people expect things to go. Not me. I moved in with my husband well before we got married.
I mean, okay, I didn't live with my husband, but
I didn't either.
um, before he was my husband. That sounded weird when we say it like that.
I just moved in.
But I feel like we communicated about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like even down to like what the thermostat was gonna be on. Like just like basic living things we talked about. Not that that was gonna be a deal breaker, but like coming to a common I think there's no like give and take. It's like empty promises. There's no give and take with this story of like just complaining about each other. Like I sometimes say like any negative thing you say you need to replace with the positive, okay? Like or you're gonna make me feel sad.
Exactly. And it just seems like it's all negative.
It is.
Yeah.
Also, where is she working though? She's working 72-hour weeks.
Maybe the medical field.
Oh, that
Maybe.
makes sense. That makes sense.
I mean, it doesn't specify, but like that's the only thing I could think of that she would be doing working that much.
Yeah, and that's exhausting and tiring, even if it's not that, but working that long.
Working that
all-
long and then having to come home and do everything.
Exactly. Like,
Mm-mm.
and I would also be pissed if I cooked something and came home to find out that my husband ate the majority of it.
Considering she cooked like multiple things for multiple days
And he ate 90%.
and he ate almost all of it,
Delicious.
no, I would be mad.
He did it in spite, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like things are just happening. It's like I'm all about that. What's the intention behind your actions? Like things happen, things come up, like and I think it's malicious. Like you're like he's mad about something or something's maybe it's her job, maybe it's her working so much, maybe it's they can't have kids or I don't know because that was mentioned. I have no idea what it is. That's why they need to go to therapy, like Jess said, to figure what's the core issue of why you're being like this. Like, what is the purpose behind? You know that she made herself meal prepped basically this food for herself because she works long hours, and you went and ate all of it. Like, what's the intention behind that, and why are you mad? Why are you mad, bro? Like, let's talk about it.
And then for him to say, well, don't cook anymore.
Right?
After that, like she asked, why did you eat all this food that I prepped for myself since you don't do anything, you lazy. Anyway, and then to come home and ask, like, why did you eat all my food? Well, don't cook anymore, and that won't happen.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, let's chat. Like, I'm very open with communication. Like, all right. Obviously, you need to be in a space where you can like regulate yourself to be able to have those conversations when you're not mad, because then it ends up being not productive, honestly, and makes things worse. Like him calling her a tramp. I guarantee that was not in a regulated state of mind.
Yeah.
No.
But oof.
Like, he doesn't do anything around the house. Like, when she said that she went on a strike for a week, and he got mad because the house was messy, but what did he do to try to fix that?
Right.
Before going and blowing up and calling her a tramp.
Well, even though I don't work, I don't do everything by myself. A lot of times we'll cook together.
Yeah.
And then we clean up together.
Same.
And even though he works and I don't, we still help each other.
Exactly.
Sometimes he cooks and I don't. So.
Yeah, that is literally me and my husband. Like, it is a team effort to.
Well, it's supposed to be like a partnership. When I can't, we talked about this in the previous episodes. When I can't, he can.
Yep.
And when he can't, that's when I step up, and I need to be, the other half that steps up and does it, or like give and take. This is our home. This is what we built together. Partnership. And I think they're missing that. It's like becoming like this, well, you didn't, so I'm not. And then you said you were, so then now I'm mad, and then you're messy, and you, whatever. It's like becoming like petty. Like, remember that you guys are married and you guys love each other, and like working through some of that like bitterness. Honestly, it's like they never really resolved issues, and then it's just building, and it's coming out in makeup being left on the counter.
Yeah. Hey,
Like
I
this
leave
really-
my makeup out sometimes, and my husband has to get on to me to put it away, but I do it, and I don't throw a fit about it.
Exactly. You're like, oh, okay.
I think,
Yeah.
Rachel, I think I read that story, and I looked at the comments, and one of the top comments was like, well, you need to get out of that before you have kids, because they don't have kids yet. Like, imagine the whole pointing fingers, blaming, getting angry about stuff when it comes to children. Like, if your goal is to have kids in life, I'd find someone else, because or go to therapy and try to fix it, but don't
Yeah.
put a
Yeah.
kid in that situation, because then you're gonna blame your child.
Yeah. Well, there's more mess. Sorry. Like,
Tell
I
me
can
about
clean
it.
the whole house, and then my toddler wakes up and she's like literally pulling all the toys out of the toy box and like completely destroying what I just did. I just have to let it happen. I just be like, it is what it is. And that's realistic. They're kids. But so like you add your current problems into like having a child, like, oh my God. You guys have another one coming.
Yeah, messy.
Doesn't make it better for sure. Makes it harder.
Well, I hope she does what's best for her, because it seems like no one else in that relationship is doing anything for her. So I hope they either get it figured out or move on.
I can speak for like the perspective of like having a really chaotic, hard job as a school social worker. And if you come home to chaos, like that's a hard life. Like that's going to mess with your mental health. That's going to just mess with you physically, mentally, spiritually, all the things. Because I come home and it's like peaceful house. Like my husband's so supportive and all this, like
Yeah.
it's a healthier atmosphere. But if I'm coming home and I'm getting called a tramp, I'm sorry. I'm going to have a problem with that. That's not going to be a healthy environment to be in.
Well, get ready, because this one's titled, Am I the Asshole for Kicking My Parents from My Wedding? And
The wedding, we always need a wedding.
we always need to throw in a spicy wedding situation. And like I always do, it is already marked as the consensus of the Redditors said that this person is not the a-hole. So just imagine that. The person's not in the wrong for kicking their parents from their wedding. So
We'll see. We'll be the judge of that.
we're the experts here.
Yeah.
So for context, my partner and I have been planning our wedding for about 15 months now. During that time was the dress shopping, both female same-sex marriage. I invited my mother along to both my fittings, and my partner, who saw my mother in such high regard, also had her come along to hers as well. We clearly stipulated that we don't want to see each other in the dresses we choose until the wedding. We don't mind knowing what dress, but actually seeing each other in them, and that we would like to have separate dresses from each other. I thought that's a simple request. The bridal place knew of our request as well. Through dress fittings, I had settled on a dress I love and was encouraged by my mother and chose it as my primary option. At the same time, she also encouraged my partner to the same dress, knowing our request. The bridal place quietly said to my mother that we were looking at the same dress and to give us a heads up. They did as we asked them, and she brushed them off and told them it's fine. Now the gaslighting began. When we found out we ordered the same dress, we asked for a family meeting to sit down, discuss what happened, air grievances, etc., and put it under the bridge, so to speak, and move forward. We reiterated, we asked for this not to happen, and was told 3 different stories that conflicted with each other. Told, nope, that's not what happened. I don't remember that, so it didn't happen, etc. We had our bridal parties with us, so yes, we can confirm which versions of events happened. We were met with severe verbal abuse and rather sickening derogatory remarks, which I can't repeat here. After all that, I've decided to cut ties with them. Told them to leave our lives as we started new lives together, and I don't need this negativity anymore. My mother was always like this growing up. Told them not to attend the wedding and have told venue to refuse entry to them if they decide to gate crash. All this because we asked a simple request, which was ignored, and then just asked, hey, can we have a sit down and talk about what happened? Honestly, I feel drained and terrible, but like I made a positive decision. So am I the asshole?
For you, and whatever keeps your peace. So no, I don't think so.
Especially at your wedding. The wedding day is about you and your partner. And for someone to go and purposefully try to sabotage that and you find out before the wedding, absolutely ban them from your wedding.
Why?
I don't care who it is.
Why do people do that? Why do people like have to have control of like or want their own whatever with the wedding? Do they have problems with the wedding? Like I don't like what's the deal?
Like I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like if the mom had an issue with their daughter being in a same-sex relationship, potential marriage, all that stuff, they would express their feelings about that prior to this.
Hey, that's what I was thinking. Like, what's the deal with it? Like, why are they making it a big deal? Or like, why are they trying to do stuff now? Like,
it's not like they just sprung, hey, I've been dating this girl and we're getting married. It's not like they've obviously known about this relationship the whole time. You should have expressed your feelings or whatever towards that prior, and then I would, like, me, if it was me, if I was that daughter, I'd have been like, well, I don't need your help. You are clearly disapprove.
it would have been a while ago.
Yeah.
It would have been right when it was.
It does kind of sound like she's sabotaging.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
The people at the dress shop
Sorry.
literally said, hey, they're looking at the same dress, and the mom's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they got the same dress.
Maybe.
That would not be, I mean, it could be cute, but like also they want that their request was they want to have different dresses.
Well, and that was whatever they had. Okay, that happened. Not great. Whatever. They came together and they opened dialogue. I'm all about communication, like I said. The words, we don't know exactly what words that were said, but obviously verbal aggressive, like whatever. I don't know how she described it, like verbal aggression and stuff, like where it was so crossing the lines of so disrespectful. Like that's when it's like unnecessary. Like, and was it out of the blue? Like did they know that conversation was gonna go that way? Because sometimes you can kind of get the vibe, like when you go into okay, we're going to talk as a family. It's going to be a serious conversation. Personally, I have a big family, so that happens a lot when issues arise. And you kind of know how it's going to go. You kind of know, like, was she shocked that it was turned like that?
Well, she did mention that her mother has been like a negative person always growing up.
So she probably was prepared for it to.
I think maybe not to the extent of sickening derogatory remarks, but having a negative thing to say about everything. I know people like that. Like, those are people I would rather not put in charge of things that have to do with my life.
Family problems are so hard.
It's very sticky.
It's because there's still gonna, I feel like there's always gonna be like a tie, or you feel like saddened that it couldn't be like a normal, healthy relationship like other families. Like you're always gonna have that like desire, I feel like, me personally, my opinion. So when you cut people out because they're like that, which is good, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's good that you have those healthy boundaries. But then it's also like, okay, like that just, it's like kind of like a bummer. Like, why couldn't I have a normal, supportive mom? Or, like that's probably what she's going to feel. I know a lot of people probably deal with that. Have that desire of like, my mom's terrible or my family's terrible. I wish I had a healthy relationship, that a supportive parent.
I've had, I think, even like a couple of friends in my life that got married, and some drama happened with one of their parents day of wedding, and either the parents decided to leave or they were like, I'd rather you not be here. And that sucks. I don't know what I would have done without my mom being there and being supportive like she was during mine.
I often don't talk about this, but my dad wasn't at my wedding. Yeah, which is like such a hard pill to swallow. I have a great relationship with my dad now, but my dad didn't want me to get married to my husband. Not because of his character or anything like that, because he just had desires of me wanting to get my master's and had this expectation of me. And I was like, no, I've been dating this man for 5 years. I just got my undergrad. Like, basically, I'm an adult. I'm going to do it. It's a new stage of life. And whatever his reasons was, I don't know. But it became a huge family problem. And he didn't show up at my wedding. And I put my mom in a terrible position because my mom felt like she needed to be there, which she did. But you could tell it wasn't right, because it's like her husband, not in agreement, not there, but then she's showing up for her daughter, and it just like put her, I could just tell by her face being there, and it's like, oh my God, like the impact of my entire huge family being able, like, okay, the leader of our family is choosing not to be here. But then it's like, I know that I need to show up for this because it's going to be a regret later. So like that affects me. Like that affects like looking back at my wedding. It's still like a sting, and it probably will always be a sting. And it's something he has told my mom later. He won't ever be mushy and like tell me, I think, but that he regrets it and that he should have been there. But I never really talk about that, honestly. It's rare that I even tell anybody that my dad didn't show up to my wedding, because it makes it sound like, well, what's wrong with your husband?
Yeah, I can see that, but
that's some tea. That's my personal tea.
I know. Thanks for spilling.
Ooh.
Well, I'm glad it seemed like for this person, like she got it figured out before the day of, which is a little bit more helpful, but
yeah, for sure.
Still, like you said, just kind of sad, you know? Because
yeah, and I bet she felt it like on her wedding day. Yeah, you can be happy and you're excited, but you still have it in your mind. You're still human. You're still like, yeah, it's like heavy. It's just heavy on your heart probably throughout the day, and that's not how your wedding should be. It should be like,
it's supposed to be the greatest day of your life.
A blast in a glass.
Which mine kind of was, so I'm not going to lie. Anyway, we can save that for a different time. Off the air. No, just kidding.
I love that. But I empathize with her. That's hard, and I'm glad that she still got married. I'm glad that it didn't steal you know, because some people would be like, I have to have my parents and I'm not going to get married unless I do. Some people are like that. I'm glad that she held her ground and was like, this is the love of my life, and you're with me or you're without me kind of thing, like to her family. So.
Well, they'll have a great marriage going forward, even if the mom is not a part of it.
And maybe I'm all about people changing, so let's just hope that that mom does some work on herself, and down the road they can mend it. Like, I'm always about like change and it's never too late type mentality. So it hurts now, but maybe it won't in the future.
Is your story as deep, or is it just super juicy, Katie?
So the title of my story is dun, dun, dun. Am I the asshole for blowing up at my girlfriend after therapy backfired?
Oh, and we know you love therapy.
If anyone knows me, they know I love a good therapy. Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's go.
My 28 male girlfriend, Emma, 27 female, and I have been together for 6 years. For most of that time, we've been happy, like really happy. The kind of relationship people say just works, you know? We were always on the same page, rarely fought, generally enjoyed each other's company. But over the past year, things started to feel different. Small arguments here and there, more miscommunication, and just this weird sense that we weren't in sync as we used to be. It wasn't anything major, just the usual wear and tear stuff, so I thought. Emma, however, seemed to be more concerned. She started pointing out issues I wasn't even aware of, like how I supposedly wasn't listening enough or wasn't as emotionally available as I used to be. I admit I've been busy with work, but I thought we were doing okay. Still, I didn't want to dismiss her feelings. We love that. Okay. Then about 6 months ago, she suggested we go to couples therapy. Now, I've always been a bit skeptical about therapy unless things are really bad, but I agree because I figured it couldn't hurt. She said she found a great therapist through a friend and we should give it a try. I wasn't familiar with this Lily, but Emma was excited about it, so we booked our first session. At first, the session seemed fine. Lily asked good questions, got us to open up, gave us some tools to communicate better. I felt like I was doing my best to listen and improve, but something about it felt off. Every time we talked about an issue, it seemed like Lily was always siding with Emma. If I mentioned being stressed from work, she steered the conversation towards how I wasn't giving enough attention to Emma. If I brought up a disagreement, somehow it became about my communication skills. After a few weeks, Emma started using phrases like, Lily thinks you should try this, or Lily says you need to work on that. It felt like everything I did was dissected by women I barely knew. That's a weird way to say that. Anyway, I didn't want to be paranoid, but it seemed like Lily was slowly convincing Emma that I was the problem in the relationship. And every time I tried to voice my concerns, they were brushed off. I tried to push through it, thinking maybe I was just being defensive, but it didn't stop. Every session, the same dynamic. It was like Lily was planting seeds of doubt in Emma's head, and Emma was running with them. I even started to wonder if I was the problem. Was I actually this bad of a partner? Things reached to a boiling point a couple of weeks ago during a session. Lily started suggesting that maybe we should consider a break so I could work on myself more. That it felt like a slap in the face. I've been trying so hard to be better, and now she was suggesting we split up? I looked at Emma, waiting for her to disagree or defend me, but she just sat there quietly nodding along. After that session, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I blew up at Emma when we got home. I told her I didn't trust Lily's judgment, that it felt like she was just feeding Emma reasons to blame me for every wrong in the relationship. Emma got defensive, saying I was overreacting. Then Lily was just trying to help us work through our issues. We didn't talk for a few days. I started feeling guilty for snapping. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe therapy really was exposing some flaws I needed to work on. But then something happened that blew everything wide open. Last week, we went to a mutual friend's party. While there, I overheard Emma and her friend Sarah talking in the corner, giggling about something. I caught just a little bit of their conversation. Quote, I can't believe you pulled it off for this long. Poor guy still thinks she's an actual therapist. I immediately confronted them. And that's when Emma's face turned pale. Sarah quickly turned to backtrack, but the truth was spilled out. Turns out Lily isn't a licensed therapist at all. She's one of Emma's close friends from college who thought it would be fun to help Emma fix me by posing as a therapist. Emma had to set this whole thing up because she thought I wouldn't agree to therapy otherwise. They figured that it was with Lily playing the part, they could guide me into becoming a better boyfriend without me knowing. Oh my gosh. I felt completely betrayed. For months, I had been spilling my heart out to someone who wasn't even qualified to help. And Emma had been in on it the whole time. All those sessions when I felt attacked, manipulated, suddenly made sense because I was being manipulated. When I confronted Emma about how messed up this was, she broke down, saying she never meant to hurt me and she just wanted to help us grow as a couple. But honestly, I don't know how to move past this. I haven't been able to look at her the same since. Now, Emma and her friends are saying I overreacted, that it was just a white lie meant to help our relationship. But I feel like I've been gaslit and lied to for months. So, am I the asshole for blowing up at my girlfriend when I found out our therapist was a total fraud?
No. Poor guy. Oh my
She
gosh.
needs to go to a mental institution.
Oh my god, guys.
She's got something going. How? Why? What?
When, how, why, what,
all
when.
of the things. What? That is that someone needs to write a movie on this. Like,
Can't make this stuff up, man.
he was skeptical on therapy from the jump before they even went, and now he's gonna need therapy and gonna be skeptical about it the whole time.
Probably not gonna go to therapy after that.
And he's just gonna be like he's never gonna trust anyone ever again. Poor guy. I knew something was off. When you're saying that, I was like, well, maybe, maybe he is just like taking it all out of like proportion. Like maybe he is the one that's in the wrong. I was starting to think that, and then I was like, no, it's not always one-sided at therapy. A therapist is going to look at both of you as individuals and as one.
I was starting to think the therapist might have a thing for Emma.
Me too.
He was like, oh my gosh, like, this is a bad therapist. You need to shop around a little bit. She's not good. That's what I was thinking the whole time I was reading it. And then I was like, I did not see that twist. I did not see the twist coming, guys. Did you even see that coming?
No. Well, I was kind of on the same vibe as Rachel, thinking like, oh, maybe like they were having a secret affair. And maybe they were. And that's just not a part of the story. Like, oh
my gosh. There's a
Poor
lot
guy.
of things we can dig into this. For one, I thought he was so good about it. He was like taking in what they were saying and like trying to like
He was
reflect on
trying.
himself, being like, maybe it's me. Oh my God, it just made me more sad thinking about it. Like he was like, maybe it really is exposing things about me that I need to work on. I'm like, oh my gosh, just knowing what ended up happening. And he was like really trying to like have self reflection and think about it and grow.
That poor man.
They were giggling about it. They thought it was funny. That's sick.
And it wasn't even the therapist, it was another friend, right?
So
More people knew than just the two girls.
like, is it a game to you? Like, therapy's not a game, guys.
No.
Well, it wasn't therapy. I was sharing things with someone who wasn't even
Qualified to listen or like give their input.
Where did they go for therapy? 'Cause
For
I feel-
real, that was another thing. Like, what if they just did
Was it
Zoom or something? Or
Yeah, probably.
I can't even.
I did not see that ending, honestly. I didn't see it turning like that. And her to be like, oh, we were just being. Okay, I have to say this too. I'm all for a good joke. I'm like, if you know me, you know I'm a good jokester. I'm a prankster. There's too far.
Yeah.
There is a limit.
Yes.
We talked about this in the past on our podcast. That's too far. That's not funny. You're messing with somebody's life.
Mental.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I would leave. I would leave her. Bye. If you think that's funny, you're giggling and you think it's that humorous.
And you
I'm
think
sorry.
that's a white lie?
Yeah, correct.
A white lie is like, I can't even think of one right now just because I'm so baffled by this story. Because that is not a white lie. That is a straight, bold-faced, manipulative.
And for weeks, it went on too long. I think also jokes are like immediately. You don't hold it that long. Like if you were like joking and you set something up and then you came in and then you're like, just kidding, this isn't therapy before nothing even happened.
And also, the friends that are apparently her friends that are also agreeing with her and saying that he's overreacting. Like, all of you guys need to go get
help.
checked out. Like, I'm concerned.
Oh, God. I can't even believe that. I always come with some spicy stuff.
You leave me speechless.
I was literally like, when I read that, this isn't happening. I have to read this. I have to share this with the world.
I know.
Sorry.
You need to send me that story, and I need to be like, you need to send this to a publisher and have a book and a movie written about that. Because I'd watch it. Like a thriller. That's crazy.
Okay, I wonder if there's any comments.
That is...
Did he pay for therapy? Like, was he paying for it?
Oh my God.
There's like a whole nother... People are asking it.
That's...
People are asking that question.
That's...
Oh, I want to know.
Theft, right?
Anybody else wonder how payments were processed? The reception area, the office space?
Wait, isn't it also illegal to pretend to be an official of some sort? Like that lady and probably your girlfriend could go to prison for fraud.
People are asking for legal action against her.
Yeah, 100%.
Stranger was pretending to be a licensed therapist. Oh my goodness.
That's
Otherwise,
some sort of federal law, no?
this has to be illegal on so many levels. Besides, they're saying the same thing we are.
There's like a hotline to call if you think somebody's pretending to be a therapist, like a licensed therapist.
You know it's too far, guys. Come on.
Share it.
Breaking.
Give the hotline right here. That way, if anyone's going through that, they got the number.
Here's the hotline to call.
What?
What's the hotline number? Give it, just in case the guy watches our podcast.
Well, it's a weird number, so I don't know if it's like our stuff. Hold on just a second. Let me click on this link.
Call it. I'm
No,
just kidding.
someone
The UK, sorry. My bad.
Someone did say that it would be a civil matter, but definitely something most attorneys would be willing to take because it's a slam dunk. Okay, so yeah, people are like all asking for like legal action against this. Psychological abuse, people are saying.
Yeah. I mean, that guy is going to have trust issues for the rest of his life.
Because it wasn't just one session, it was like weeks on weeks.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, what is
For
it?
someone who someone who loves you and that you trust. I think that's like the whole thing too. It's like, I love this person, I trust them, I'm with them, I'm wanting to make this relationship work, and this is how they treat me.
What's the hotline, Rachel?
It's 1-800-821-3205.
All right, if you are a loved one,
Yeah.
Right?
If you're skeptical of
of your therapist, or if you're the guy that wrote that Reddit story, please call that number.
Right?
I can't believe like that took thought. Like they premeditated that. They planned it out,
discussing.
and then they had to have like called each other after the session and be like, "Okay, well this is what I want you to do on next week's session or whatever. Like this is what I want you to say. I want you to make him feel like he is the worst, crappiest person on the planet, and that's what I want you to do, and we're going to change him."
Well, I do want to hit on something that I thought had stood out to me when I was reading it before I heard that twist, was when she was saying like, Lily thinks you should be doing this, or like using the therapist as honestly manipulation to get your spouse or boyfriend or whatever to do what you want. But remember, in therapy, like using the therapy session and what was talked about against them, I think, to get them to do what you want. I don't know, like that whole thing I feel like is probably something that actually like occurs often, like when couples go to therapy. Well, remember when Lily, I remember when our therapist said that you need to be doing this, and like pointing it out in a way that's like, that's not loving, that's not kind, that's not gonna help them be better. The way, I think it's like I talked about earlier, like intentionality. Like, are you just trying to be like, see, you're not doing what you're supposed to, you're not treating me right? Or are you actually being like, okay, let's pause. When we did this, I would like you to do this, but like differently. Like, this is what I need for you and from you as my significant other. Like, that's how you need to go about it. So I know this was all like fraud. Like, obviously she was doing it to be funny, and it became like this gross joke, but I feel like that actually happens where people go to couples therapy and then they switch it and use it against their significant other.
Yeah.
Like I hear about that. So I just wanted to, that was something I was going to say prior to reading
That's just some ugly behavior from that chick.
That is too much.
Dang.
Oof.
Katie, you're always making me speechless with your stories that you find.
I'm always like, is this real life? Is this actually happening?
Yeah. Like, does someone just like come? Are they like an aspiring author and just like writing?
No, you're setting up material for your book.
Well,
Oof.
you guys, those are some crazy stories today.
Mm-hmm.
Those
We
are
got some tea, always bringing it.
always bring it, kicking off season 2 with a banger.
I mean, I'm biased, but you know, it is what it is. We are 3 mamas.
Spilling the tea.
And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.